Alright there guys, and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about The Simpsons again. More specifically, modern Simpsons. Oh no, not modern Simpsons. How could you talk about something so terrible? Well yes, The Simpsons in the modern day is pretty bad. However, it does have the ability to release some absolute gems here and there. Not often, but occasionally here and there they can just release a gem of an episode, and that's what I think they did here. As today we're going to be talking about why I think the season 31 finale, The Way of the Dog, is great. So, the episode entirely is themed around Santa's Little Helper. That's something that we don't get anymore. We didn't get it that often in the older Simpsons episodes, but we really don't get it anymore. So it's quite strange that they just decided for the season 31 finale to make an episode entirely around Santa's Little Helper. And this episode was released in May of 2020. So this episode was released in the height of the lockdowns and the pandemic 2 years ago, which is quite interesting. So the episode begins with Christmas, and Marge wants to take a photo of Santa's Little Helper with a Santa hat on. But he ain't having none of that, and keeps wriggling his way out or away from the hat. But when Marge then tries to get the hat back off him, she can't because he starts chewing it and growling at her. And that's a very important thing for the whole episode, Santa's Little Helper chewing the Santa hat. And that Santa hat is a lot more important than you would first think when you see it. Because the family realise that there's something visibly upsetting Santa's Little Helper. Like, he sees a stain on the side of the cupboards in the kitchen, and he doesn't like what he sees. So the family don't really know what to do. So Lisa comes up with the idea of taking him to see a dog psychologist, of which many other people from Springfield with their dogs are also there to listen to this psychiatrist and what she has to say. She tries to give them words of encouragement to basically tell all the families with their dogs, put yourself in the dog's shoes to see if you can work it out what is upsetting your dog. The family go home. Marge tries to get the Santa hat off of Santa's Little Helper again. This time, not only does it not work, it goes pretty bad because Santa's Little Helper even bites Marge. Which means animal control are on their way. To put him down. So just so luckily for the family, the dog psychiatrist just so happened to show up at the Simpsons house. So, in order to make sure animal control don't arrive in time, the dog psychiatrist takes Santa's Little Helper with her back to the psychiatrist center, and she gives him his own little space to where she can examine him and research him to see what is the root of the problem. It starts off with Santa's Little Helper getting to know the other dogs at the centre. And that doesn't go on for too long because then he starts growling at them. But the one thing that is consistent with him is the Santa hat is there again. And just before he was taken away, just before Santa's Little Helper was taken away by the dog psychiatrist, Bart pointed out that the Santa hat that Santa's Little Helper is chewing is the exact same Santa hat from when Homer and Bart first met Santa's Little Helper at the Greyhound racetrack. Yeah, that's how far back we're going. They've just referenced the pilot episode of the entire show. Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire, Season 1, Episode 1. They really went and referenced an episode 30 plus years ago. And what's great about it is, it even then shows the footage from the pilot episode, which of course that's the episode this thumbnail is from, which is why this thumbnail is perfect, plus video image, because this episode is literally part of the solution of how they figure out what's wrong with him. It shows the footage of Homer and Bart cheering on Santa's Little Helper at the Greyhound racetrack. If you remember from that episode, all that time ago, he lost. But then Santa's Little Helper came running up to Homer and Bart, didn't he, as they were leaving the racetrack. And Bart said, "Can we keep him, Dad?" And Homer says, "But he's a loser. He's a Simpson." Then, of course, Homer and Bart take Santa's Little Helper back home, where Homer manages to get away with the fact that Mr. Burns didn't give him a Christmas bonus in that episode, because he brought home a dog. I just think it's really neat how 31 seasons deep into the show, the end of season 31, and out of nowhere they just decide to reference the pilot episode. So with that information on board, the dog psychiatrist uses it to think, right, why do you remember that day so well? What happened? And she manages to figure out that Santa's Little Helper has PTSD from his previous owner before The Simpsons, aka the guy who basically trained him and forced him into being a Greyhound race dog. And then we have the imagery of Santa's Little Helper's previous owner abusing him if he wasn't doing the right thing. And that's what's got him feeling the way he has been feeling for the whole episode. So in order for Santa's Little Helper to overcome his PTSD, the Simpsons family take him to the previous owner that he once had, because it shows us a flashback scene of so far back in the past to when Santa's Little Helper was just a puppy. And it shows us that Santa's Little Helper really loved his mother, and he was cruelly taken away from his mother and abused and forced into being the race dog he was when the Simpsons met him. So the family arrive, they find the owner, the previous owner of Santa's Little Helper, call him out for what he did to Santa's Little Helper, among many other race dogs that he owned. So Santa's Little Helper goes into the backyard, and wouldn't you know it, his mother is right there in front of him. So it seems that the mother of Santa's Little Helper was kept by this guy, but all the other dogs were turned into race dogs. Santa's Little Helper has a very nice moment reuniting with his mother. A very wholesome scene. And just before the family leave, everybody gets to have a free hit on his previous owner. Homer gives him a slap, Marge gives him a slap, Bart does, Lisa does, Maggie does, and Santa's Little Helper rounds it all off with a few teeth marks into the guy's hand. Then the family leaves to go back home, but they take Santa's Little Helper's mother with them. As the episode ends with the family sitting on the couch, with Santa's Little Helper lying on top of Homer, and Santa's Little Helper's mother lying on top of Marge. And that's how the episode comes to a close. As pitifully bad and average episodes from modern Simpsons normally are, they showed that they do still have the capability to every now and again just throw an absolute gem out. And I believe that is exactly what they did here. There's a couple of episodes from modern Simpsons that I like. There's the season 21 episode, I think it was, where Bart meets Nikki at Springfield Elementary School. I liked that episode. There's Married to the Blob, where a comic book guy meets Kumiko. And then there's, of course, this one, The Way of the Dog, season 31, episode 22. So yeah, with any long-running show that's been going 20 or even 30 plus years in The Simpsons case, most ideas are going to be boring and stale and probably copying off something else. Which is kind of the story of The Simpsons' legacy now. It went from being copied by everyone else to being the copier. I mean, seeing modern day trends appear in Simpsons episodes is not something I ever thought I would see. Such as the episode where Professor Frink invents his own version of Bitcoin. Or the episode with Elon Musk. Side note, Elon Musk buying Twitter was a great thing. The episode with Lady Gaga. God, that episode's awful. And the new Simpsons short that didn't release not that long ago with Billie Eilish. I swear I haven't seen it, but I bet you it's just however long it is of just The Simpsons just inflating Billie Eilish's ego by kissing her ass a lot when she's not even that good. And that's everything I have to say on The Simpsons Season 31, Episode 22, The Way of the Dog. I think it's definitely one of the best modern Simpsons episodes there's ever been. Along with the other two episodes I just mentioned that I also really like. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, tell me in the comments if you like this episode, if you've seen it, and do you think, are there any Simpsons modern Simpsons episodes that you think are gems that I may not? But until next time, catch you later.